The US economy is in trouble, and it's a couple of hours before America wakes up on the 13th of March 2023. You see, the banking sector in America is facing a potential bank run, and the Federal Reserve have to wake up this morning and calm the masses. They have to reassure the American population that their money is safe in the banks, because if they don't, we are about to see a pivotal point in history where if one of the largest economies in the world fails, we are going to see chaos like we cannot imagine. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this morning's video. We're going to be explaining what is actually unfolding, because this is a breaking story. And as a crypto investor, we're going to be touching on what you need to know in these times. Good morning, everybody. Now, those of you that follow my channel will know that I made a video on Friday where we saw the crypto markets taking a plunge. And the reason for that was because one of the crypto banks had gone under into voluntary liquidation, and that was Silvergate Bank. And a lot of people thought that this was just a small bank. It didn't really have a big effect on the US economy, but we've seen something very different because another bank has followed. And while that crypto bank that failed caused the crypto price to fall, what we've seen is a bounce in the price of cryptocurrencies. Let's just look at that. We're at Bitcoin well over the 20,000 mark at 22,400. Ethereum back over $1,600. Polygon way over the $1 mark. If we go onto altcoin trader, if you remember, guys, only a couple of days ago on Friday, today it's Monday, we looked at the Bitcoin price and it was 375,000, and now we're back way over the 400,000 rand mark. And we've got Ethereum at 29,000. So we've seen a considerable bounce in the crypto price. So let's talk about what's happening in the US economy and this potential run on the bank and what that means when people start to lose faith in traditional finance. Now, bearing in mind that in 2008, we saw a traditional finance catastrophe. We saw a massive, massive crash. And that was in fact when Bitcoin was what it emerged out of. It even has references in the Genesis block to that, and Bitcoin was seen as a way that we could be safe from these type of things going forward. But anyway, I digress. Let's get back into the video. So Silicon Valley Bank, which is a huge bank in the States, is in the top 20, and it is facing liquidation. What has actually happened is that the bank insurers have taken over the bank. Now, in America, bank deposits are insured up to $250,000 US. So the government or the Fed will pay that out. But if you are a bigger company and you've got bigger deposits, and from my research, it seems that the average deposit is well over the $2 million US mark, then that insurance doesn't take place because it's only for the first 250,000. So of course, a run on the bank is imminent and has happened, and that bank has been taken over by essentially the government or the FIC, and they are now making sure that depositors don't lose their money. But what has happened? The bank didn't do anything wrong. They basically, and I'm going to keep this short and I'm going to keep this simple, they basically invested in bonds, which is government debt, which gives, it is considered a very low or almost no risk asset. It gives a 2 to 3% yield, and those funds are safe and guaranteed with the yield, but you have to get them to maturity. Now, when the bank invested huge amounts of money into those bonds, of course, there is a run on the bank doesn't have the liquid cash. They don't have liquidity to pay out the people doing the withdrawals. So if you cash in those bonds before the maturity date, you lose money. And right now, when you can get 5% on dollars, why would you be holding a bond that you only get 2 or 3%? So those bonds, no one wants to buy them because it just doesn't make financial sense. Which means that if you want to sell those bonds prematurely, in other words, outside of the bond period, the discount or the loss that you make, you get 70 cents on the dollar. And the bank, having to pay out their deposits, is forced to sell these bonds at this ridiculous low rate, and that causes a loss. And it's important to know that this is all a direct result of the Fed increasing the interest rates, because they sold the bonds to the banks and said, you guys, your money will be safe here. And then on the other side, they raised the interest rates, and the banks now can't get rid of those bonds. So without going too much into this rabbit hole, the only solution that I see with the Fed is that they are going to have to come to the banks and say, we will make you whole on those bonds, even though you haven't reached the bond period. But let's move off of that. This means that if Americans are feeling insecure, they are going to be hitting the banks in a couple of hours when America wakes up because they want their money. Because if you're a startup, if you're a company, you have salaries to pay, you have expenses that you have to meet, and you need to have money. And if there is going to be a delay or the bank is not going to be able to give you that money, that is going to start panic. And not only is that going to start panic, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to just feel my money's not safe in the bank. I need to get it out. We've seen economies throughout the world crash for this exact reason. So the Federal Reserve now has a duty, not only to the American citizens, but to the world, to make sure that they can save the traditional financial economy and say, guys, you don't have to worry. Your deposits are safe. The banks are safe. Banks are a safe way to keep your money, because if they don't and they let these banks fail, there's going to be a run on the bank that is going to be insane as people try and withdraw their money. Now, the banking structure in America is a little bit different to South Africa. And as a South African, I don't think we need to be concerned about our money in the bank. And the reason for that is because previously we've seen the South African banks hold out very well in crises throughout the world. South African banking technology and our banks are world class, and our banks are very stable. And I think the reason for this is, like, in America and in the States and in a lot of other countries, there are many, many small banks. And the smaller banks are the ones that fall first. In South Africa, we've got the big four. So the big four banks are almost too big to fail. And that's one of the many reasons why the South African banking system is so secure. And I don't think that we're facing the same crisis that the Americans are facing. But having said that, that is just my opinion. And, anything can happen, which we've seen over the last couple of months. So, do your own research. And this is not financial advice. Make your own decisions. But in South Africa, we can see the smoke on the horizon. We don't have to panic yet. But sometimes it's wise to take actions to secure your financial future by diversifying. So why has the price of cryptocurrency gone up? Well, I think that's anyone's guess, but I think it's safe to assume it's because people are fleeing to what they deem more secure assets, that being cryptocurrency, gold, silver, and real estate. And as we see this instability in the traditional rand and dollar financial system, we can expect to see people wanting to preserve their wealth in these more robust assets. Now, guys, I just want to take a moment to express to everybody that in these times where safety and security is at the forefront of our thinking, Altcoin Trader has 100% of their clients' assets. So if we owe our clients X amount of Bitcoins and everyone came to withdraw at the same time, we would be able to honor those withdrawals. We're not in a situation where we don't have 100% reserves. And we're not even in a situation where we would have to sell crypto to make sure that we have and balance it. We have a liquid reserve of every single customer's coins that we owe. And later this month, I'm probably looking at making a video on that and explaining that in a little bit more detail. But it just gives you that reassurance that your funds are, at least for now, because we know anything can happen in the future, 100% safe. Something else to note is that Altcoin Trader offers cryptocurrencies, but we also offer gold and silver. So if you want to invest your funds into traditional instruments like gold and silver, you can see here, these are actually Kruger Rands that we've got, and they're currently trading at 33,800 Rand for an ounce of gold. You can also, if you're feeling insecure, once you build that up to a full ounce, you can withdraw that ounce and keep it in your own custody. That way, you're not reliant on anyone or any third party. With silver, we also offer silver. It's currently trading at 540 Rand per ounce. And that is not Kruger Rands, that is silver coins or silver bullion, but you can also withdraw that. So, what can we expect going forward? Well, on the 22nd of March, the Fed is meeting, and they've indicated to the market that we can expect a rate hike. But in light with what has happened, I personally cannot see how the Fed can raise the interest rates at all. Now, guys, I might have missed the mark here, and I might not be on the money. But if that meeting comes out and we don't have an interest rate hike, we can expect a short-term bull rally for the crypto markets, and not only the crypto markets, but all markets, which could be very exciting. This is an ongoing story. Guys, I thought I'd jump on here and make a video just to keep everyone up to date. If you appreciate me bringing you this content as it unfolds, I'd ask you to hit the like, hit the subscribe, and support the channel. I appreciate your support very much. That's it from me. I'm out.